Mesdames et messieurs, pour ouvrir cette session à la française comme au théâtre, place de 3 coups pour lancer la compétition.
Welcome to the Champ de Mars Arena, a tailor-made stadium for these Paris 2024 Paralympic Games. We are here for the wheelchair rugby, and how about that? We've got the host nation, France, taking on Denmark. Decent crowd, plenty of them in here. You can see the faces they were holding up. There was Jonathan Ivernat in there, the French captain. We're going to be seeing plenty of him. A quick look at the referees. On your left there is Paulina Schmidt, on the right Christine Hempfling. Very experienced officials. And as has been the tradition throughout the Olympics and now at the Paralympics, we're going to have the coup de bâton. The stick is going to be knocked as it was done traditionally and as it is still done in theatres in France. Knocked 3 times to let everybody know that the show is about to get underway. Wonderful piece of ceremony. Thank you, Amandine. Pool B, have a look at the teams in Pool B. There's nothing but good teams in the wheelchair rugby. 8 teams, and any of them could be pretending for medals. As you saw there, Great Britain edged past Australia early on today in Group B. That puts everything wide open. Great Britain, the defending champions. France, one of the favourites, Cédric Nankin, local player, 40 years old, plays for the Paris team. Jonathan Ivernat, we're going to see plenty of him. He is the captain, a 3-pointer. Nicolas Valentin, a 2-pointer. Rodolphe Jalon, another mid-pointer. Adrien Chalmin, a low-pointer. As you can see, you'll be able to see on the backs of the chairs of the players the number of their classifications. As out comes Mathieu Thirier, a 1.5. The classifications are between 0.5 and 3.5. As we say hello to the other Parisian, Riyad Salem, the veteran former basketball player who has stuck around for his final home Paralympics. Brice Morel, 2.5 pointers. So the classifications, 0.5 up to 3.5. You can see there, 1.0 on the back of the chair there. And you can have 8 points on court at any one time. So it's up to the coaches to work out whether they go for nothing but the high pointers or a bit of a balance. You can have high-low lineups with a couple of 3 or 3.5 pointers and a couple of very low pointers, or you can have a more balanced ones with 2s and 3s. There are all of the classifications there. Squad of 12, 4 on the court at any one time. And the advantage you have if you have any female players is you're allowed an extra 0.5, so we will see that with the Danes. Bob Van Acker is the coach. Belgian, and former player for Belgium, and a very successful coach for the French. Out come the Danes who hosted the World Championship just under 2 years ago in Weiler, and managed to finish 4th overall, their best ever finish on the world stage. And most importantly, perhaps for this match, they defeated France in the quarterfinals. France won their group, a 6-team group. Denmark finished 4th in their group, so it's first versus 4th. It should have been an absolute walkover for the French, and the Danes picked their pocket to win 55-53. Sophia Scobu there, the number 6. So a female player, when you have a female player out on the court, that means you can have an extra 0.5. So the Danes, if they play Sophia Scobu at any time, and they certainly will, she's an integral part of their squad, That means they can have 8.5 points out there at any one time. And you'll see it with other teams. Australia, for example, have 3 female players, so they could have theoretically 9.5 points out there for their 4 players. The Danes, as you can see, just the one, a couple of 3.5 pointers, Sebastian Fredriksson and Mark Peters. We'll see plenty of them. And there's their coach, Jason Regier, who is a Paralympic gold medalist for the United States.
Et maintenant, merci de rester debout si vous le pouvez pour l'hymne national du Danemark.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of Denmark.
Der Eret und Land. There is a lovely land. The national anthem of Denmark was the second anthem, and obviously prior to that, I'm sure many of you recognised La Marseillaise, the French national anthem, as the French fans unfurl an absolutely beautiful banner, a tifo, here at the Champ de Mars Arena. Fans who follow them all around Europe. They saw the French win the European Championships in 22 and 23, most recently 2023 in Cardiff, Wales. Plenty of them also travelled to Denmark, see them in the World Championships where they were caught cold. So that's the starting lineup you have there. Jonathan Hivernat, Sébastien Verdun, the 2 3-pointers that they've got. That's very much their chosen starting lineup, and then Cédric Nankin, the 1.5-pointer, perhaps the best defensive player in the world. Danes as well going to be starting with a high-low lineup. Denmark, you're going to see plenty of Sebastian Fredriksson, 3.5-pointer. They're also starting with Leon Jørgensen, the captain, 3-pointer. Kåre Mummer Nielsen, 1.5, so that already adds up to 8. But Sofia Skobul is going to start for them as well, which means they can play with 8.5 out there. Danes playing in white, not their usual red. And then the French lineup, Sébastien Verdun, Jonathan Hivernat, 2 3-pointers. Cédric Nankin, 1.5-pointer, perhaps the best mid to low pointer in the game, and then Corentin Le Guen, 0.5, so that all adds up to 8. French tend to go for that kind of high-low lineup with their 2 3-pointers. Rarely use Riyad Salem, the 3.5-pointer. The countdown, we're going to get underway. Tip-off coming first. Christian Hempfling tosses the ball in the air. And it's the Danes' first blood there. Sebastian Fredriksson, their 3.5-pointer, gets the ball straight from the off, and that is the first point going the way of Denmark. Those of you watching for the first time, tries are going to be scored thick and fast. Le Guen inbounds it to Nankin. And then the 2 3-pointers, 21 Yverna, 33 Verdun. Fredriksson keeping him company, but those two are going to be passing the ball left, right and centre. And listen to the crowd. Norman Nielsen with the inbound to Fredriksson. Fredriksson, who should be the quickest player on the court. It's the only 3.5er out there at the moment, and he's just got the wheels to out-accelerate Verdun. Jason Regier, Danish coach. Le Guen with the inbound. Good inbounder for a low pointer. Verdun it is who goes coast to coast. There is Regier's opposite number, so 2 imported coaches, if you will. Bob Van Acker, the Belgian, played for Belgium, been the French coach for quite a while now. And then Jason Regier on the bench. Nice little handover there from Norman Nielsen to the captain, Leon Jurgensen. Easy to recognise because he's always got a headband on. Passes that we're going to see regularly throughout this match. Popped over the top between the 2 3-pointers that the French have. And then after that, look at the blocking being done there by Nankin and Verdun. And Yverna just about manages to get through without touching, or gets his casters over the line. You can see him going left and right. Close one there. You could see Jesper Kruer. Could see how close that one was. And so the 2 high pointers for Denmark now looking to combine. And no, it's Jørgensen that goes on his own. Maybe wheelchair rugby is a sport that you only watch at the Paralympics. If so, welcome, and it's great to have you watching this time around. So it can be easy to focus on the high pointers. You can see the numbers on the backs of the chairs there. But it's always good to have a look at the low pointers and see what kind of blocking work they're doing. If you watch any American football, NFL, gridiron, then it's similar work to the offensive lineman. Blocking, making sure that the more agile players can get free. Everyone putting in good work, all 4 players at once. Fredriksson fires the ball forward, and that's the advantage of having a high-low lineup. If you've got 2 high-point players, as they've got here, Jørgensen 3-pointer and then Fredriksson 3.5 points, you've got 2 players with excellent trunk function who can throw the ball. They can do chest passes like in basketball. The same applies for the French. Verdun and Yverna, a couple of 3-pointers. Norman Nielsen with the inbound. It's going to be a little give and go to Schoolbolt. And then they're going to try to get it into the hands of one of the high pointers, which is what they've done. You've got 12 seconds to get over the halfway line, get the ball over the halfway line, which is what's done there. You have to pass or bounce the ball every 10 seconds. And there is a shot clock there. You can see the 40 on the shot clock. You have 40 seconds in which to score. We'll talk about timeouts a little bit later as well. Both teams have 4 30-second timeouts the players can take. And we'll delve into those a little deeper later on as we see how those can be used tactically. And then the coaches can use 2 one-minute timeouts. 6 apiece, no turnovers at the moment. Cagey stuff between these two. France, you would say, very much the favourites on home soil and the defending European champions. But as we said earlier, the Danes caught them cold in Vejle in the west of Denmark. That was in October 2022. In the quarterfinals of the most recent World Championships that the Australians won. Key defence there. So you can see the key is the painted area, the blue area. And as an attacker, you can only be in there for 10 seconds at any one time. And through goes Verdun, just about hands it off to Le Guen. So how about that, Corentin Le Guen, the Breton. And in the west of France, not often that the low pointers score. Frederiksen this way and that, and he answers in kind. The Danes getting the first score. And it's always good to get the first score and the last score of every quarter. You can see an arrow there in the middle of your screen, and that's saying that the next contested possession is going to go the way of the team attacking in that direction, left to right. So the French, now it can't go over the halfway line, otherwise it's an over and back. And just about picked up by the French. Harem scarum stuff there, but fortunately they've got their 2 high pointers back, and they've gone out of jail there, the French. Much along the lines of basketball, you can't have a backcourt violation. The ball can't go back into the backcourt once you've taken it into the front court, and that was almost the case there from the French. So very kind of them to show us an example of a violation, and that's the first example of a turnover, and it's gone the way of the home team. So the first turnover of the match, it's now the French with their noses in front as we get to the halfway point of the first quarter. A timeout has been called. Frederiksen realising that he wasn't going to get the ball over the halfway line. You can see there, the shot clock is stopped at 32. He was stuck. That was the turnover there. It was brilliant hands put in there, I think by a combination of Ivernat and Verdun, reaching in there and getting the ball out of the lap of Jørgensen and forcing the turnover. So player time outs left. French haven't taken one yet, so they've still got 4. And we're having a few changes in lineup. Just the one for the Danes. You can see number 8, Jesper Kruger, has come on for Kar Mommen Nielsen. French going with their original lineup. Ivernat trying to knock Frederiksen into the cone. You're not allowed to touch the cone as you're going over to score. And also you might be wondering how you can hit other players. You can hit them in front of the axle, so the middle hole in the wheel. If you hit them behind, then that's a foul. It's called a spinning foul. Sure, we'll see some of those, so we'll have a look at those as and when they happen. Kruger with the inbound to his, I'd say to his captain, but no, we've had a replacement up front as well. Another headbanded player is Mark Peters, another high pointer. Frederiksen spins around and Peters just grabs that before his casters go over the line. You need to be in possession of the ball before you have 2 casters that go over the line. A bounce there from Ivernat, as you have to bounce it every 10 seconds. Needs to get the ball over the halfway line and does. Again, the advantage of having high-low is that you've always got a couple of high pointers out there with a good reach. One of them can give a good pass, the other one can corral the ball in well. And there's a perfect example of it. Denmark with 8.5 points out there as we have a look at one of the veterans in their squad, Thomas Peh, 52-year-old. Grizzled veteran, but they have even older than that. They have Kurt Busk out there, who's now 57. Might be seeing him later on, a 0.5-pointer. So the Danes setting up outside the key defence, or a European defence as it's often known in the Southern Hemisphere. Southern Hemisphere teams don't tend to do it, Northern Hemisphere teams do. Verdun goes over the line. Skobu, the low pointer with the ball in her lap. You don't want the ball in the lap of a low pointer when you're trying to get it over the halfway line. So, hands it over to Peters. Two and a half minutes to go of this first quarter. 4 8-minute quarters. Le Guen, the low pointer with the inbounds. You have 10 seconds to inbound, but the clock doesn't start until it's touched by a chair or a player. Nankin hands it back to Yverna, who is going to show a clean pair of wheels, get over the halfway line, just about. Great block there by Verdun, and a handoff to Verdun, and Yverna certainly enjoyed that one, as did the crowd. You see him pushing there to get over the line, a big hit there by Verdun to get Peters out of the way. So it's not all about the person who's got the ball, it's about the other 3 as well, the other 4 going up against you as well. Decent inbound from Kruer. Peters now the one boxed in, but he manages to get the ball out, and Fredriksson's going to cruise over the line into the last 2 minutes of the first quarter. 13 apiece. 2 minutes to go. Teams are now going to be looking to have the last possession. If you are in possession of the ball last, and if you score the last point, if you get the last score of the quarter, if you manage to do that in every quarter, that's a 4-point advantage. And if you can manage to get the first score as well, then that's an advantage that the French think they're going to have next time around, because they've got the possession arrow. So they will get, there won't be a tip-off at the start of the next quarter, it'll just be an inbound. So the French will have possession at the start of the next quarter. Denmark just looking to score at the moment to level things up. Less than a minute and a half to go, and the French are now going to start looking at time stamps. And you can see 52 there is being held up by the French camp by Justin Frischberg. Lost but found. Lost and found twice so far, the French. They've avoided turnovers by the skin of their teeth, and they've been told to try to score on 52 seconds. So, could well be that Yverna is going to take his time and go over here. Usually it's around the 1:05 mark, and over he goes. Yes, and a 1:05 mark was being held up by Justin Frischberg, the assistant coach of the French. So you can see Yverna waiting to get his casters over, and then you could see in the background 1:03 left on the clock. The reason you do that is because the maximum a possession can take is 40 seconds. So even if the Danes take 40 seconds here, the French will have at least 23 seconds in which to score. Now, the Danes have just decided to do things their way. They have scored as quickly as possible, 55 seconds to go. Right, prends-le is what's being held up, so take it. That could just be a case of take the score. That was the board being held up there. Unless it's take the timeout. Now that's what it's going to be. You can see the shot clock ticking down, 21:20. Once that gets down to almost 0, Yverna is going to call a timeout, and that will reset the shot clock to 15. And that will mean that the shot clock and the match clock are exactly the same. The symbol's about to come. T, timeout. Okay, so 15 seconds will go back on the shot clock, as you can see top left of your screen. It's virtually the same as the match clock. So prends-le, take it, was take the timeout. They've got 4 of them, and they're using it to make sure that the Danes don't have a possession before the end of the quarter. If you can score the last point of any quarter and the first point of the next one, that's a 2-point swing, and that's what the French are looking to do. Paralympic tattoo there on Sebastian Fredriksson, the 30-year-old. So, back underway. 15 seconds in which to score. And the French lose the ball. Now, taking a timeout is always a good idea, but you need to make it count as well. And that was a great reach in there by Peters. So the Danes look like they are going to score the last point. Can they score? No, they can't. So at the end of all that, we catch our breath, and it's 15-all. Well, to a certain extent, that's good news for the Danes. 15-all at the end of the first quarter, and they prevented the French from getting the last score, and they also made the French use up a timeout. It's all well and good using timeouts. You have to convert them into tries. Now, turnovers, just the 1, and 1 steal for the French. So the French turned the ball over once, stole it back immediately, and we're still level as we have a look there. Merci, Mamie l'autre. Thank you, Granny. So, obviously, a little good luck totem there for one of the French, the French cockerel. Highlights of the first quarter. And it really was nip and tuck stuff. France with their 2 3-pointers, Sébastien Verdun and Jonathan Hiverna. There's the pair of them. They played all 8 minutes. Danes went to the bench, started off with Leon Jørgensen there, the captain, with the headband. Kåre Mommen Nielsen, the mid-pointer. And then a little bit later on, we had a few changes for them. Another headbanded player came out, and that was Mark Peters. And at the end of the day, it's 15-all. It's almost a tennis score.
Les Danois. On va faire un petit test avec les Français pour voir. Est-ce que vous connaissez le fameux qui ne saute pas français? Oui. Au test, vous êtes prêts? La rédaction marche avec moi. Est-ce que vous êtes prêts? J'ai rien entendu. Est-ce que vous êtes prêts?
It's 3-minute break between quarters, and that gives the likes of Jason Regier, the coach, time to reorganise the team. It also gives the crowd a chance to bounce up and down. Some very impressive face masks out there. And the crowd is bouncing here at the Champ de Mars Arena. 15-all. Nothing in it between the two of them. So, as we were saying earlier, the possession arrow was in favour of the French. So they get the inbound at the start of the second quarter. The Danes setting up outside the key. A few changes here for Denmark. They have Jakob Mortensen on, a 2.5-pointer. He's number 4. And they have the veteran Kurt Busk, the number 7. but they did not manage to get in the way of French substitute Rodolphe Jarlon. So the French also going for a little more balanced lineup. Sébastien Verdun has gone off. Also got Jordan Ducré in here, the 1-pointer, number 14. His parents are here, and his mother's been working as a volunteer. Often a family affair is wheelchair rugby. Everybody gets involved. You have brothers and sisters who end up working on teams as mechanics, physios. Probably those printing out the masks as well. France with their noses in front. They had the possession arrow. As you can see now, the possession arrow is going from right to left, and that's the way the Danes are attacking. So they will get the next contested possession. Same contested possession. It's like in basketball, if there's a held ball, if two players are holding onto the ball and it can't be released, then it's a held ball, or the players also do call it a jump ball, like in basketball, popped over the top nicely, and Mortensen scores that one. So if it is a contested ball, then whoever has the possession arrow gets the inbound after that. Otherwise, it's at the start of the next quarter. So it's always good to try to get a held ball. However, the risk of the held ball, and that's going to have to be a timeout. You can see referee Kristin Hempfling acknowledging the timeout, and Hivernin. You can see Hempfling there going to the bench and showing the timeout. And Bob Van Acker having a quick word with his team because the timeout was taken right in front of the bench. So they got 30 seconds quickly. He was boxed in there, Hivernin. He was right at the back of the court, and that's why he was forced to take that timeout. There's no way he was going to get the ball over the halfway line within the 12 seconds without taking incredible risks, and he certainly didn't want to do that. So the French have used 2 of their 4-player timeouts. Hivernin takes the ball forwards, followed by Nankin, Ducré. Score goes the way of the French. Penalty try. Big inbound over the top there. And it's handed off from Mortensen to Peters, and a reaching foul there. That was against Jarlon, but it was on the ball carrier who was going to score a try anyway, so it ended up being a penalty try, the try given. Reaching foul usually, oh, that's a huge pass there from Jarlon. 2.5-pointer, passes it to the 3-pointer. Obviously the safest way to do things is to get the ball in the lap of a high pointer and to keep it there. So you don't want to pass the ball when you don't have to, but if you've got players with a lot of function, so the likes of Jonathan Hivernin, 3-pointer, Rodolphe Jarlon, 2.5-pointer, they can pass the ball around and catch it quite safely. And of course, as soon as I say that, a turnover. And there is a good pass, and the Danes take the lead. Mark Peters incredibly happy with that one. Popped over the top there by Ducré, the 1-pointer. It's only a 1-pointer, so the lower the classification, the higher the impairment, and the less physical strength that the player will have. And it's often the case that there's not a lot of core strength on the low pointers, less mobility in the torso. Great inbound from a low mid-pointer there. Norman Nielsen back on, and he can't quite corral that. Now that is an example of the lack of trunk strength. It was popped over the top, needed a little bit of backspin there. It was difficult, a little bit more backspin on the pass from Peters, and Momme would have been able to pick that one up, but hasn't got the core strength, just a 1.5 pointer, so a greater level of impairment. Couldn't lean forward and get that ball in. So another turnover, and the French now can take the lead back. Nielsen hands off to Busk, the 57-year-old. Mortensen has to get the ball over the halfway line. That's going to be lost, but picked up by Mortensen. You could see that Busk didn't go for it. Now there's an equipment timeout called there, I think by Cor Momme Nielsen. You saw the M that he gave, and you can see the Danish mechanic coming out there. Hit at the front, and that loosened. You could see the immediate M signal tapping both shoulders for mechanic, M for mechanic. So the clock starts as soon as it's touched after the inbound. The French setting up just outside the key. Nankin, the number 3, can't go in there because there's 3 in there already. Lots of great blocking here. Jaulon, number 5, went over the try line. So one of the French defenders went over the try line, and you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to leave the court. So that means that it's a penalty try. Jaulon it is. Good pushing there from the mid-pointer. And he's going to take his time here. You think, why is he taking his time when we're less than halfway through the quarter? Well, it's to make sure that his teammates are set up to defend. Much along the lines of basketball, as soon as you score, offense turns to defense. And there they are. You can see the French setting up outside the key in the European defense. So the Danes now are going to try to push a 4th defender into the key. Jaulon, number 5, making sure he doesn't go out of bounds again. Time being eaten up here. Nankin, great defending. Peters can't get out. Pops it over the top to Mortensen. Mortensen blocked. Gets it to the high pointer. Beautifully worked. Great patience by the Danes. Quick inbound from Ducret to Hivernin. Hivernin scores, and unseen by you, the crowd, the French defense setting up already. We had a quick look at Nicolas Valentin, number 1, a mid-pointer. We might see some of him a bit later on. Mortensen pops the ball out to the high pointer, and that came off Peters. You could see Christina Schmidt, the referee, pointing in the direction. So, despair there for Peters. It's actually Kristin Hempfling who was pointing to her right to say that it's the team attacking in that direction that's going to get possession. Sophia Skobu back on. So the Danes are going to go high-low again. You can see number 10, the unmistakable bald head and blue eyes of Sebastian Fredriksson. And look at them all, getting the blocks in there. They've also got Leon Jurgensen, the captain, out there. But the French have also gone for their high-low lineup. Teams able to make substitutions because the ball went dead, rolled out of play. You can't make substitutions after a try, but you can when the ball rolls out of play, providing that the players to come on are already in the substitution box, which is in between the team's benches and the table for the timekeepers and the scorekeepers in the middle. So Mathieu Thirier has come on for the French. 1.5 pointer from Toulouse, down in the south. Big rugby hotbed. Eiffel now going this way and that. French with a 2-point lead. That turnover committed by Peters. And that's how the French have got their noses in front. Biggest margin so far. So yes, the substitution box, you can see a line on the floor about where Fredriksson is now. And nobody in either substitution box, so no substitutions. Oh, and it looks like Momme has hit the deck. Was he hit in front? Yes, he was hit in front of the axle. And he's going to have a wheel change as well. Make sure he's fitted in there, strapped in correctly. See, the players have a lot of strapping. It's also good looking at the chairs at the moment while we've got a little bit of a pause. You can see high pointer chairs there with the wheels angling in. And that's for them to be able to move around and get more mobility and flexibility. And then the low pointers chairs, they have a pick bar at the front, as you can see there on Kormum and Nielsen's. And also on Jesper Kruer, coming to the bottom of the screen there. And there, those pick bars are there to try to pick a hold of the high pointers to block them. And one of the French defenders must have put his wheels over the line there. Referee signalling that a player had left the court, so it was a penalty try. Verdun. Good block from Yverna, and the French restore their 2-point lead. Thomas Pet, the number one out there for the Danes. He's a low pointer, so they've gone for more or less a high-low lineup, although Kruer is a 1-pointer. So they've got 3-5, 3-1 and 0.5. And there's the 3-5, Sebastian Fredriksson. Into the last 2 minutes of the half. Once again, timestamps are going to come into play. If you look at the benches there, you're going to see, there we go, 135 is being held up by Justin Frischberg, the former GB international, who's on the bench for the Danes, for the French, sorry. 135 would have been the ideal time to score, but Yverna, there he is, Yverna, decided that he was going to score. The main thing is to score. Scoring at certain times is all well and good, but at the end of the day, it's the scoreboard. It's not the time clock, it's the scoreboard that counts. Jørgensen gets the ball over the line, scores within 130, so there's more or less the 135. A lot of time being taken, so 1:05 is now what's being held up. So Yverna, is he going to try and take 20 seconds? He'd love to, but Yverna, well, he's marching to the beat of his own drum. I think he put his hand up there to say, yep, sorry, the main thing for me is to score points. So the Danes, no timestamps being held up there from Regier or the rest of his coaching staff. Fredriksson, though, he's going to try to score, most likely at 55. That's the one that is de rigueur at the moment. Pops over the line, 1:01. So even if the French take all 40 seconds, and even if they use a timeout and make it 55 seconds, 40 plus an extra 15, then the Danes will still have 6 seconds in which to score. Le Guen is back on, Thirier, and then the two three-pointers, Yverna on the ball, needs to get it over the halfway line and does. He's going to try to score as soon as possible. Oh, that lands in the lap nicely of Thirier. Obviously a low pointer isn't going to reach out. You need to put it in their lap. So 40 seconds to go. The Danes 2 points adrift. It's crucial for the Danes to get the last point. So are they going to use a timeout? They're going to take as much time off the clock as they can. Now remember, at the end of the first quarter, the French tried to take time off the clock, used a timeout and didn't score in the end. So the most important thing is to score. That's what the Danes are going to want to do. They've only taken one player timeout. So maybe they are going to run the clock down. Now they're going to pop it over the top. Jurgensen going to take his time, not going over, and does so beautifully with 5 seconds left on the match clock, 2 seconds on the shot clock. So the French with 5.1 seconds to score. The clock will tick now. Can Hivernat get it forward? He's going to punt it forward. Hit and hope. That was going to go nowhere. So the only thing the French can do now, well, the Danes with the inbound, they're going to make sure, once they've inbounded, not to lose the ball. And at the end of the first half, one try in it, the French lead Denmark 29-28. The French really been in a battle here. It was 15-all at the end of the first quarter. The second quarter was 14-13 in favour of the host nation, but hardly anything in it. The Danes, who have really come on in leaps and bounds in the last couple of years. 3 years ago they were in Tokyo, beat Australia in the opening match, an out-of-sorts Australian team, it must be said. And Denmark ended up finishing 7th out of 8, beating New Zealand in the 7th place playoff. So highlights now from the second quarter. French going with a little bit of a different lineup and getting plenty of people involved. Rodolphe Jarlon there came out, the 2.5-pointer. Mathieu Thirier, the number 7. Cédric Nankin, crowd favourite. Parisian, number 3. Danes as well going to their bench. They've used plenty of their players so far. 8 of the 12 have seen action for the Danes. The French got their noses in front. They were 2 points clear midway through and then ended up committing a turnover. It's been very tight between the two teams, trying to keep the mistakes to a minimum. So we can see 2 turnovers each, 1 steal each. It really is as simple as that. French committed 3 penalties, but no one's been to the sin bin yet. They've all been penalty tries. And the long and the short of it is, in this big half-time break, it's 29-28 to the French.
les supporters français, est-ce que vous êtes là? J'ai deux bonnes nouvelles à vous annoncer. La délégation française paralympique vient de ramener 2 médailles d'un coup. La première, elle est en bronze pour Marie Patouillet. Du bruit pour Marie Patouillet. Et la deuxième, elle est tombée il y a moins de 30 minutes. Première médaille d'or de la délégation paralympique française signée Hugo Didier.
Well, as you can probably hear, je ne regrette rien. Edith Piaf. The kind of song that every French person, young and old, knows. And they've just been singing along during the half-time break. No regrets. Who's going to have regrets at the end of this match? No one at the moment. There is little to choose between them. France 29, Denmark 28. The Danes, Jørgensen, Momme, Skolbo and Fredriksen are out there to start the second half, the third quarter. The French, Nankin, Yverna, Verdun and Le Gouen. So that's the starting lineups that we had for both teams. They've gone back to the well. They've gone back to the high-lows. So 2 high pointers and a couple of low pointers. Denmark, of course, can have 8.5 out there. And we're underway. The Danes waiting, and now they touch the ball, Fredriksson, and now it means that the clock starts again. 8 minutes in the third quarter, 16 minutes in the second half to decide which of these two is going to join Team GB on top of Group B. Ivelna goes this way and that. Bit of blocking from Verdun, his partner in crime. And the French restore their 1 point advantage. Mama has 10 seconds to inbound. The inbounder always has 10 seconds. It doesn't come off the shot clock, but you will see the referees counting out with their arms. There's a timeout called there by Jørgensen. It was indeed. He didn't think he was going to get over the line safely within the 12 seconds. So, timeout called. Two coaches' timeouts, 4 player timeouts allowed. Or floor timeouts, as they're quite often called amongst the community that plays. So both teams still have both of their coaches' timeouts left, and both teams have used up 2 of their 4 floor timeouts. And you can make substitutions as well. So we've seen Kurt Busk come on in place of Sofia Skobo. And Thomas Pe is out there as we're having a quick look at one of the chairs that needs some repair. The mechanics do sterling work out there. Incredibly busy all the time, and they're incredibly busy after the match. They're the ones who are going to be re-inflating all of the tyres that pop, and plenty of them do pop. And speaking of pop, those wheels are anything up to a couple of $1,000 US a pop, the really good ones. Tyres cost a little less, but they're incredibly expensive, the wheels. Over goes Fredriksson, and we are back level. We had 15 all, now we have 30 all. Nankin with decent push for a 1.5 pointer, but he was never going to get the ball over the line. And what have we got? A held ball. We've got a jump ball here. Literally held, and Nankin trying to get back on 2 wheels. Peters is going to help him up as well. And a smile between the two of them, but that's a held ball. You can see that Peters gets his hands in there, and perfect, great camera work and a perfect view of a held ball. So the inbound goes the way of the French, because they're the ones with the next contested possession. And here comes the inbound from Le Guen. However, that means that the possession arrow that you're about to see there on the table has changed. So it's the equivalent of a turnover, really, for the Danes. The French were in possession. They maintained possession by dint of the possession arrow, but they've lost that possession arrow. So all of a sudden it's dead level here. And you could see, flipped up there, Peters with a smile on his face. His casters went over the line, so it's a penalty try. So the French 31-30, but the Danes now in possession, and they have the next contested possession. Really nothing to choose between these two teams. As if to illustrate that, 31 apiece. Neither team with anyone in the substitutes boxes, as you can see there. So no changes in the offing. Yvelna boxed in there. Kurt Busk, the number 7, doing great blocking work, but that's an example of just how much mobility you can have in the high pointers. Verdun pops the ball over the top, and look at the flexibility there of Jonathan Yvelna. It's one of the top levels of players. Verdun is another one. He's played for Leicester in the British Championship. Jonathan Yvelna was down in Adelaide about 4 months ago at the Australian Championship, playing for the West Coast Enforcers, Western Australia. Now Fredriksson forced to take a timeout there. And as you can see, the Danes only have the 1 timeout left there, but the most important thing there is number 29. There were 29 seconds left on the shot clock, and you have until it ticks down to 28 to get it over the halfway line. And Fredriksson wasn't sure that he was going to be able to do that. Very, very big crowd here at the Champ de Mars Arena that has been built here purely for the Paralympics. It's a beautiful place to stroll along, and you can walk as far as the Eiffel Tower, usually outside of the Olympics and Paralympics, but at the moment you can walk along all the way to the Eiffel Tower within the Champ de Mars Arena, which is a beautiful thing to do in between matches. 32 apiece. Le Guen with the inbound, great chest pass from Yvelna, and Verdun is going to cruise over the line, enable everyone to get their breath back. Busk, the 57-year-old, with the inbound. As you can see, he's a 0.5 low, the lowest of the low pointers, so he hasn't got the greatest of inbounds. And we've had an equipment timeout called, and it is Kurt Busk. See the differences between the two chairs there. His low point chair with a pick bar at the front, and then Sebastian Fredriksson's high point chair there. And it was a big hit from Cédric Nankin. Busk, 57 years old, still going strong. Plays for the Frederiksberg Falcons, along with his captain, Leon Jørgensen. Mark Peters plays for them as well, as does Thomas Pearce, Sebastian Fredriksson. They are the big club in Denmark. Peters, there he is. Boxed in. The two high pointers pass the ball between one another. Fredriksson's got it now. You see the great blocking work done on Peters. And great block there, but obviously Verdun couldn't put his casters over the line there. Peters being forced to work for his 7th try. Fredriksson back, but drops the shoulder there, does Yvelna, left and right. Jinking left, jinking right, gets his way past. Yvelna, who plays for Stade Toulousain, affiliated with the Rugby Union Club. Yvelna, Rodolphe Jarlon, Mathieu Thirier all play for Toulouse, down in the southwest. Coach's timeout has been called. Jason Regier, the American, going through the X's and O's as we have a quick look, see how dependent the French are on Yvelna. 19 of their 34 tries. there is Ivernat. There he was, going this way and that to get past Fredriksson. Need eyes in the back of your head. So a few changes have been made. Jesper Kruger has come on for the Danes. He's the one going up front and is going to pick that one up there. So Kruger, as soon as he comes on, the 34-year-old who plays for Aarhus, pops over the line. So they're going for a more balanced lineup at the moment. French have made some changes as well, and there is one of them who's come out, Rodolphe Jarland, Toulouse player. Jarland is out there along with Nankin. Number 14 is Jordan Ducret, and then of course Ivernat is out there as well. So a more balanced lineup for the French. French going 3-2-5-1-5-1. Danes going 3-5-3-5-1 and 3-5-3. No, they've got Sophie Skobel back out there, so they're allowed to have the two 3.5 pointers, a 1 and a 0.5. They've got 8.5 out there at the moment. So, timeout called by number 21. That's Jonathan Ivernat. Timeout's being eaten up here as the time is eaten up. There you can see the timeout being called by Ivernat because he could see that Rodolphe Jarland, his teammate both at club level and for his country, wasn't going to be able to get the ball free and get it forward. So the French with the inbound. Each team with one floor timeout left. Danes setting up in the key. And they're trying to push. That's going to be 4 in the key from the Danes. And it is indeed 4 in the key, and the 4th one in the key was Mark Peters. So he goes to the sin bin. Peters, bottom right of your screen, he's in the sin bin, so he's there either for a minute or until the French score. So it's 4 on 3, and perhaps more importantly, it's 8 on 5 in terms of the points out there at the moment. There's 3.5 in the bin. Enables the Danes to make substitutions as well. So Mortensen's come on. You can't substitute a player who is in the bin. So Ivernat goes over. And what you couldn't see was that Peters, who is now taking the inbound, he was forced to take the inbound. He was forced to ask to take the inbound because he was blocked in the penalty box by a couple of French players, Nankin being one of them. So they forced him to take the inbound. And obviously he's 3.5, so he's got a good inbound. But if you're inbounding, you're off the court. So you've only got 4.5 points to aim at in terms of the classifications left on court. So he ended up inbounding and getting the ball back. 36 points apiece as we had a quick equipment timeout. Peters 8 tries. Tough inbound here for Ducret. Manages to find Ivernat. Boxed in, needs to get the ball over the line. Does so to Ducret, but Ducret now needs to get it over the halfway line. Great inbound from great pass from the one-pointer. And France showing the depth in their lineup there. 3-2-5-1-5-1 is what they've got out there at the moment. And Ducret, great chest pass from him for a one-pointer. Momo, the 1.5-pointer, goes over the line. 37 all. Which team's going to blink first? It was 29-28 to the French, and the Danes managed to force a turnover. They've got the possession arrow as well for the final quarter. So the French will be incredibly keen to score the last point of this third quarter, assuming that the Danes are going to score the first one of the fourth quarter. Nankin and Jalon blocking Mortensen there. It's always good to look at the other players, not necessarily the ball carrier. Watch what's going on off the ball. Popped over the top, and Mortensen just about has the wheels. A 2.5 manages to outpace Ivana, the three-pointer. Every second counts, it says on that Danish fans t-shirt, and that certainly is the case. There's 147 seconds left of this third quarter, and the seconds are going to start counting. We're going to start talking about timestamps again pretty soon. Jalon not quite with the wheels to outpace Peters. Needs to bounce it, almost lost it. Peters reaching in there. Look at him, didn't want to commit the reaching foul. And Ivana was always going to be able to drop the shoulder and get past Busk. Peters again with the inbound, which is not where you want your 3.5 pointer. Three-pointer boxed in there. Nankin keeping him under wraps, but there he is, popped over the top, and he'll be able to pick that one up just before. You need to have the ball in your possession before you roll over the line. 1:49 left. The French bench, he's holding up a sign, which you're going to see quite soon once play evolves, saying 1:35. They want their team to score with 1:35 to go. Easier said than done, because that's some great blocking by Mortensen. Fire the ball over the line. There's the 1:35 banner, and Ducret is going to push it as quickly as he can. Gets over the line. 1:34, so that's pretty much what they wanted to do. These timestamps are all to prevent your opposition from having the last possession and the last score of any quarter. Very tactical game is wheelchair rugby. Players rolling around while there's another equipment change. It was a spare wheel needed for Mark Peters. And I do believe a coach's timeout has been called by Jason Regier. .94 seconds to go. Sophia Skobo back on for the Danes. So the Danes playing 8.5. Usually you're allowed 8 on court, but they've got 8.5 because they have a female player in Skobo. Fredriksson. So they're going high-low, and Fredriksson gets over with 84 seconds to go. Shot clock 40. Jalon bringing the ball up, bounces, gets it over the halfway line. All of these things that you have to do. Gives it to Ivana. Now what's the time stamp for him? 55 is going to be ideal. Allez les Bleus, chant the crowd. Come on the Blues. And Nankin, great blocking. Ends up being a penalty try. Well, 55 is the timestamp, 54.3. The French will certainly take that. Fredriksson with the inbound again. They're forcing the Danish high pointers to inbound. And a turnover committed there. I think it might have been Fredriksson taking too long on the inbound. You've got 10 seconds to inbound, and he actually had his casters over the line before he inbounded. He's a high pointer, but he's not used to inbounding, Fredriksson. and that is often the case. You have arguably your best players, the ones that are high pointers, they're not meant to be doing the inbounds. That's meant to be your low pointers. And Fredriksson committing a bit of a rookie error there. He had his casters over the line, and eagle-eyed Paulina Schmidt and Christina Hempfling, the referees, saw that happen. Got his casters over the line before he'd inbounded. So it's a turnover in favour of the French. They're a point to the good. They're going to have the inbound, and it's Ducret who's asked for the inbound. It's a tough inbound. A corner inbound's always an awkward one. So you're going to see him try to get it to Ivana, the 21. The Danes trying to make sure that Ivana can't get it. Again, Ducret's only got 10 seconds to do it. Non-count. Off to Ivana. Textbook. That's the kind of thing you work on in training that Van Acker will have worked on with the French in training. Now they are going to run the clock down. They've got a floor timeout left, so maybe they're going to take that timeout. Of course, the most important thing is to score, and they just want to score, so that 2-point lead is back there. That huge turnover there against the Danes. This time it's Mumma Nielsen with the inbound. He knows what to do on inbounding. Fredriksson, the one who committed the turnover, he is going to try to take as much time as he can off the clock. Reminder that the Danes have the possession arrow that you can see top left of your screen. They will get the possession at the start of the fourth quarter. So the Danes want to score now as late as possible. They want to get it back to a 1-point game and then equalize with seconds to go. They need to score though, and they're not going to score. The French have put up a wall. Beautiful defense from the French, a big smile. Ivana knows how important that is. The French have a 2-point lead going into the final quarter, 42-40. You can see the frustration on Jørgensen's face there and the determination on Ivana's. Huge there, the turnover that Fredriksson committed, and then the wall of defence from the French means that they lead 42-40 with just 8 minutes of this match to go. The Danes will have possession, but the French have a 2-point lead. Turnovers there, 3 from the Danes as opposed to 2 from the French. One more turnover, so if you assume that the Danes score with the opening possession, that gets it to 42-41, and it's the turnovers that are the difference at the moment. Highlights here from the third quarter that began 29-28 in favour of the French. Very little to choose between the two teams early on. Fredriksson, the focal point of a lot of the Danish attacks, along with either of the two headbanded high pointers. Mark Peters, number 11, Leon Jørgensen, number 3. Peters with most of the game time out of those two. And halfway through the half, it looked for all the world as if the Danes had pulled it around, and then there was that late turnover committed by Fredriksson, putting his casters over the line before he inbounded. Disappointment from him. He knows what he's done, and he knows he's got an opportunity to turn it around in the last 8 minutes of this clash. This opening Group B match for these two teams. But the Danes with a 2-point deficit and a crowd to overcome. What a crowd it is at the Champ de Mars. Danes with the inbound, as you can see. Who's going to take the inbound? It's going to be Jesper Kruer, who's come out. Sofia Skobu out there as well. And then the two high pointers, Fredriksson and Peters, still out there. So the Danes with the inbound, they're attacking left to right, so they need to get the ball over the halfway line, and they do so. Can't go out of play, of course, so the French trying to get Fredriksson to go out towards the lines. The touchline is a fifth defender, is what you tend to say in training in wheelchair rugby. So you try to force your opponents to go as wide as possible to try and put a caster out. Of course, the byline, the touchline is also acts as a defender, and Ivernat not quite going to have the wheels to outpace the two high pointers for the Danes. But he's got company with him. He's got Ivernat putting up some great blocks, as did Thirier. Mathieu Thirier out there for the French, number 7. Doing solid blocking work at the back, and then at the back you could see as well, great block being laid by Corentin Le Guen. So the Danes 2 points adrift. They need to keep scoring, and they need to force a turnover. 18 tries for Fredriksson. He'll be hoping though that he isn't remembered for the turnover that he committed. Knockout on the sidelines at the moment. We'll see a bit more of him later on, I'd have thought, the Parisian. Yvel now, there's his face in the crowd. He's played all 25 minutes of this tie so far. Peters over the top to Fredriksson. Ivernat. What happened there? It's a turnover. No, it's Ivernat going to the sin bin. I thought, yes, it was a reaching foul from Ivernat. We'll see his arm reach in there, and he touched the arm. I think he touched both arms there, but just the one penalty, the one trip to the sin bin. So 4 on 3, 8.5 on 5, because 3 points are in the sin bin. And they're taking the time, the Danes, to make sure that a trap is set for Ivernat. Ivernat stuck in the sin bin. Now, he put his arm up and said, I will inbound. So that was the only way he could get out of the sin bin. Ivernat to Verdun. Oh, a turnover, not quite. Another turnover, and yes, it's a definite turnover. 2 turnovers in one, and this time the Danes actually managed to capitalize on it. In the first quarter, the French lost possession a couple of times, but managed to avoid turnovers. And I do believe Ivernat's casters were over the line there, so it's a penalty try, and guess what? We are level. That is the turnover that the French needed. That the Danes needed, rather. The French wanted to avoid. So all of a sudden, we are dead level. The French crowd a little bit worried. They're back in the lead. But now it's just a 1-point lead. The Danes have been behind throughout this competition. They want to make sure they don't commit a turnover here. Each team has a floor timeout left, and that's going to be an over and back. Fredriksson loses possession, so that's often what happens in a fourth quarter. Peters was worried about losing the ball and hands it off to Fredriksson. It was either going to be a loss of possession or an over and back. Either way, the French have possession and lose possession. Fast and furious stuff. Was it a spinning foul? Was a timeout called? Good grief, this match has absolutely everything at the moment. Forward to Peters. Does he pick it up? It's not going to be a spinning foul because he was hit in front of the axle. Did he manage to call a timeout before he hit the ground? Was he in possession? It must have been a timeout called because the inbound is in favour of the Danes. They need to make sure they score on this possession. And they are going to do just that. 45 apiece. Everybody catch your breath here. .45 all. Coach's timeout called by Bob Van Acker, the French coach. Well, we saw timeouts coming thick and fast, often the way in the fourth quarter of a match when you're low on timeouts, you're desperate to keep going, desperate to maintain possession. You start throwing out some Hail Mary passes. Five minutes and 3 seconds to go, 45 all. The French with possession. Le Guen bats the ball forward, cleverly does it. Yvernat won't quite have the wheels, but that's some great blocking there. Wonderful blocking by Sébastien Verdun. Wasn't so much the try scored by Yvernat, it was the blocking by Verdun. French lead at 46-45. Skolbu goes all the way back for the inbound. Tough inbound for a low pointer, but she's got the option, she's got the outlet in Fredriksson. Allez les Bleus, shout the fans again. Beautiful pass there, the bounce pass from Peters with the backspin on it. So it sits up nicely for Fredriksson to roll onto. And key defence, the European defence from the Danes in this all-European matchup. Reminder that the Danes beat the French in the quarterfinals of the World Cup less than 2 years ago. Are they going to pull off a similar heist this time around? It was 55-53 in Weiler in October 2022. French with 10 seconds to get this ball over the line. Nankin back out there. Popped over the top. 21-33. Yvernat to Verdun. There's Verdun's face in the crowd. Kruger with the inbound to Peters. We've not seen a lot of Jurgensen, the captain. Peters has been the one of the two headbands that's been out there for the majority of playing time. Great work there, absolutely brilliant work from Kruger, the number 8. Oh, he just managed to keep hold of that, did Peters, to get it over the line, but that was wonderful work by Kruger, coming back and blocking. Kristin Hempfling, the referee, having a word with Fredriksson about something. Inbound from Le Guen. Yvernat takes it up, gets it over the halfway line. Nankin doing great blocking work. And pops over the top, 21-33. That's the combination that works. Crowd enjoying every second of this. Fredriksson going this way and that. Yvernat not giving him an inch of space. Skolbu trying to put a block down there. Timeout called by Fredriksson. It's the last one that the Danes could take from the floor. 197 seconds of this tie left. 48-47. The Danes now out of floor timeouts. The French have one left. Nankin and Verdun breathing deeply. Van Acker pensive. It's up to the players now. There's nothing that Van Acker can do. So to maintain possession, the final timeout is called. Kruger with the inbound. He's got 10 seconds to inbound before the clock starts. And it's a turnover. Brilliant blocking by Nankin. There was no way that Fredriksson could get out of there. And that is a huge turnover for the French. The 2-point lead is restored. That was all from great blocking work by Cédric Nankin. Kruger had nobody to inbound to. Peters just gets it over the line. Skolbo with the blocks. The Danes get it back to within 1 point, but once again they're behind. They've never been ahead. This was the inbound, and there was no way. You could see Nonquin blocking Fredriksson. He got a pick on. He's got a pick bar at the front of his chair, and that had blocked Fredriksson. There was no way out for Fredriksson. So the French with the lead. It's a great pass over the top. 21-33. That's the combo that works. That's the one that the French are going to go to over the remaining 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Skolbo, the low pointer, pushes her way back. Needs an outlet. Finds it in Peters. And you could hear the hiss there. Le Guen barging his way into Peters and I think popping a tyre. Peters with a smile on his face. Yvelna, no smile there. He's got his game face on. We're seeing plenty of those game faces in the crowd as the Danish mechanic, or one of the Danish mechanics, does quick repairs on Peters' chair. Fredriksson hemmed in again. Finds the outlet in Peters. Over the top. Now, Kruger hasn't got the wheels. Boxed in by the 2 3-pointers. 20 seconds to go, so he's got time. Hands it off to Peters. Peters is now the one boxed in. Skolbo comes up to try to run a pick. Fredriksson pops his way over. That was a well-worked try by the Danes. But they're having to work so hard just to get it back to within 1 point. Le Guen to Yvelna. Yvelna going the long way round. Nonquin's going to try to set a block. Nonquin with a block on Fredriksson. And Yvelna takes his time. We're into the final 2 minutes. The French lead by 2 points. The French now just need to avoid turnovers. Easier said than done. Yvelna going the long way around. You could see the block there from Le Guen. And Le Guen needing a change of wheel after that block. Great work from the low pointer. A minute and 45 to go. Peters taking it up. Finds Fredriksson. Over the top to Kruger, just about. He's going to have to hand it off. Now this is hands in pockets time. You don't want to give away a foul, so you can see the French there. You've got plenty of teams who call the last 2 minutes hands in pockets time. Don't give away a reaching foul. Back to within a point. Le Guen's only got 10 seconds to inbound it. Verdun, Yvelna, and Fredriksson is going to give chase because he doesn't want Yvelna taking time off the clock. They nudge him over the line. 71 seconds to go. It's not so much the timestamps now because it is a 2-point game. The Danes need to score quickly and get a turnover quickly. Equipment timeout. Presumably Fredriksson. That's an awkward one for the Danes because Fredriksson needs a change of wheel. Called it immediately, but that means that it's a corner inbound now. There's the axle. Beautiful close-up there. And that's exactly how easy it is to get on and off. You've got a minute in which to do it. Now, corner inbound there for Kruger. Always an awkward one. You can see that Peters is boxed in. So, to make sure that they can get the ball out. What they've done is call a coach's timeout. There was a coach's timeout left for the Danes, and they've done exactly that. It means they can make substitutions. So they've done that. It springs players out. Busk has come on, but the main reason for doing that was to free up players. You can see that Fredriksson to the left of your screen, he's boxed in. So the Danes are playing with just 4.5 points out there. Peters needs to get himself free. He does so. Fredriksson is still boxed in off the screen. Peters needs to score as quickly as possible, does so, and Fredriksson's going to push his way out. Great blocking though, it was Le Guen and Nankin. So a total of 2 points were blocking a 3.5 pointer. So even though it was two players, it was 2 points taking 3.5 points out of the equation. Great defense from the French. Dernier is what it says. Lost the ball, but they maintained possession. Desperation stuff there. Peters pushed in there, and it rolled off Hivernat, but he made no attempt to play it. The board being held up for the French was Dernier. Last play, it's a turnover. Fredriksson's going to try to score quickly. No! Peters loses it. It was there for the Danes to equalise. It was a perfect turnover. The pocket picked. Fredriksson gets it to Peters, but Peters couldn't hold on to it. So annoyed at himself. He says, that one's on me. They need another turnover. The French are just going to try to, well, they're going to score. All they need to do is score. A 2-point gap will be too many. They're running the clock down. 10 seconds to go. They're just going to hold on to possession. Verdun's going to go over. A deliberate penalty try by the Danes. It's a 2-point game. Peters in despair. He knows that he had it within his reach 40 seconds ago. The French fans don't care. Listen to them going wild. Victory from not really the jaws of defeat, but that could have been turned around. So, the final who to goes, and France have won it 53-51, but the scoreboard barely tells the tale. Despair for Peters, joy for Hivernat. This is the turnover. If Peters could have corralled this, it would have been 52-all. Despair for the Dane. They're getting around him, as they need to do. Hivernat, though, as he always does, carries the team on his shoulders. What a performance by the French. What a match. And what an advertisement for wheelchair rugby. France winning it 53. So close. Despair for the Danes. Joy for the French. Le Guen, Hivernat. Two of the standout players for the French. Big hugs. Captain, a captain's knock as always from Johnny Hivernat. Cédric Nankin, probably the best defender, one of the best 1.5 pointers out there. The French are going to enjoy this, milk it. The French crowd certainly loving it. Wonderful to see all of the faces in the crowd. So close for the Danes. But the problem is when you're chasing the game throughout, and they were. It was level at the end of the first quarter, but French had the possession arrow. 29-28 to the French at the end of the first half. The Danes always behind. And when you're chasing the game, it's so difficult. You have to take every opportunity that comes your way, and they couldn't quite do that. Wonderful to see so much bleu, blanc, rouge, red, white and blue here in the crowd at the Champ de Mars. Peter still can't believe it. But the French in front of the crowd, taking the plaudits, soaking it all in. Great displays from Fredriksson and Peters, both of whom I think really needed to be perfect if the Danes were going to win. They each committed one tiny little error. Fredriksson with the inbound that committed a turnover. Peters with the failure to corral the ball at the end. Tight margins. That's what decides it at the Paralympics. We've got the 8 best teams in the world. Any of them can hope to get a medal, but they need an absolutely perfect campaign if they're going to get a medal, and I think that's what Peters is realizing now. Highlights from the final quarter. The Danes desperate to get back into it. Ivana and Verdun combining throughout the fourth quarter. Ivana 21, Verdun 33, racking up the points throughout. Denmark desperate to force turnovers. And the problem is when you're behind, the pressure's on you throughout, and you snatch at chances, you grasp at them. And the French able to wind down the clock, to the delight of the crowd here at the Champ de Mars arena. The stats, well, it's the turnovers. France committing 2, Denmark committing 5. They had 4 steals, so 5 minus 4. They were a -1 overall. The French 2 turnovers that they committed, 2 steals that they got. So the French ±0, the Danes -1, and that was the difference at the end of the day. So Great Britain and France with the opening wins, Denmark and Australia with it all to do in Group B. Everyone plays everyone else. Everyone has 3 matches, so Denmark and Australia need to be perfect from here on in. Top 2 make it through to the semi-finals in Pool A and Pool B. French crowd enjoying this, as well they might. Opening day victories for Great Britain over Australia and France over Denmark. The French there pulling it out of the fire in the last minute, but winning it 55-53 over Denmark.
l'Arena Champ de Mars, on est reparti pour un nouveau match et je vais vous demander de faire un tonnerre d'applaudissements pour l'équipe qui va rentrer sur le terrain pour venir commencer son échauffement. L'équipe du Japon.
For game number 4, it's time to welcome the teams out for their warm-up. First of all, Japan.
Eux aussi, ils sont prêts, ils sont dans la chambre d'appel, prêts à en découdre. Merci, s'il vous plaît, l'Arena Champ de Mars, de faire un tonnerre d'applaudissements pour l'équipe de l'Allemagne.
And now we welcome their opponents for their warm-up, Germany.
Le dernier match de cette session de rugby fauteuil pour la première journée de ces Jeux Paralympiques de Paris 2024 va voir s'affronter les deux équipes du Japon et de l'Allemagne. Voici quelques infos à propos de ces deux équipes. L'équipe du Japon qui est classée 3e au ranking mondial, qui a gagné la médaille de bronze au JO de Tokyo, la médaille de bronze également lors des championnats du monde en 2022 et également médaille de bronze du côté des JO de Tokyo et des JO de Rio.
Once again, let's tell you a little bit more around the two teams taking to court in our final match of the day here at Champ de Mars. Japan, first of all, world-ranked number 3 winners of the recent Canada Cup tournament. They took the bronze medal on home soil in Tokyo 2021, also the bronze at the World Championships a year after, and looking to make the gold medal match at the Paralympics for the very first time.
Le Japon qui est entraîné par Kotaro Kishi.
And Japan led by their coach, Kotaro Kishi.
Concernant l'équipe de l'Allemagne, ils font leur grand retour ici dans cette compétition paralympique. Ils n'étaient pas à Paris depuis Pékin 2018. Ils ont terminé 4e des derniers championnats d'Europe et ils se sont qualifiés lors du tournoi qualificatif des Jeux Paralympiques de Paris 2024 en battant le Brésil et en remportant lors de ce tournoi la médaille de bronze.
And we welcome to Germany their first Paralympic experience at these games in wheelchair rugby since Beijing in 2008. They finished 4th at the European Championships last year. The world ranking is number 9. They beat Brazil to qualify for this tournament back in March, and they are coached by Christophe Werner.
L'équipe d'Allemagne est entraînée par Christophe Werner. Mesdames, messieurs, vous êtes toujours ici avec nous du côté de l'arena Champ de Mars. Vous avez normalement été à l'heure tout à l'heure pour le premier match entre l'équipe de France et le Danemark, mais peut-être que vous avez trouvé la vidéo qui vous explique un petit peu tout. C'est une vidéo qui a été préparée par Alliance. Elle vous explique un petit peu toutes les règles du rugby fauteuil. Pour ceux qui étaient un petit peu en retard, on vous pardonne, heureusement. Voici pour vous une session de rattrapage.
Now we know a lot of you would like to be here for the France-Denmark game already, but you have just walked through the doors to watch Japan against Germany, or you just want to know a little bit more about what you've been watching over the course of the last couple of hours. Feast your eyes towards the screen and our Alliance explainer video.
Le rugby fauteuil est un sport de contact qui combine du rugby, du basketball et du football. Objectif, marquer le plus d'essais. Un essai, c'est lorsqu'on doit franchir les lignes d'essai avec le ballon et bien. Chaque équipe est mixte et composée de 4 athlètes sur le terrain. Choc et blocage, stop les adversaires, on crée de l'ouverture pour nous. Les matchs se jouent en 4 cartons de 8 minutes chacun. En possession du ballon, on a 10 secondes pour rebondir au passé, 12 pour franchir la ligne médiane et 40 pour marquer. La pression est forte, le jeu intense. La classification des athlètes va de 0,5 à 3,5. Elle correspond au degré de limitation à la pratique du rugby. Les 4 joueurs sur le terrain ne peuvent dépasser un total de 8 points. Un demi-point supplémentaire est accordé pour chaque joueur elle-même. Les défenseurs utilisent un fauteuil muni de large choc pour percuter et retenir les adversaires. Les attaquants utilisent des fauteuils conçus pour la vitesse et pour évoluer dans des espaces restreints. Ces fauteuils sont faciles à manœuvrer en marche. La tactique, le physique et les chiffres font partie du jeu. Viser l'impact des jeux paralympiques et paralympiques.
Wheelchair is a full contact sport that combines elements of rugby, basketball, and handball. Teams compete to score the most tries. A try is scored for the any one time. Hitting and blocking are used to stop opponents or create openings for us to score. Matches are played in 4 quarters, 8 minutes each. Once we get possession of the ball, we have 10 seconds to bounce or pass, 12 seconds to get to the other half, and 40 seconds to score. The pressure is on, adding excitement to the game. Athletes are calculating a scoreline based on the point score ranging from 0.5 to 3.5. These are given based on the degree of activity limitations on our ability to play rugby. The 4 players on the court cannot exceed a total of 8 points. An additional half point is allowed for each female player on the court. Defensive players use a long wheelchair and hold a rubber ball designed to strike and hold opponents, while attacking players use wheelchairs designed for speed and agility to maneuver through tight spaces. Tactics, physicality, and the tumbles are all part of the game. Watch us compete at the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games.
Allez, supporters ici présents à l'arène Champlain, que vous soyez supporters du Japon ou de l'Allemagne, c'est le moment de tout donner. Regardez comme ils sont beaux avec leur drapeau allemand là, et leur petit maillot. Allez, on va bouger sur la dance cam.
Supporters of Japan and Germany, then if you see yourself on the big screen hanging from the roof, this is dance cam, not wave cam or smile cam. Dance cam, that's it, here we go. We'll call that dancing.
Ok, ça c'est de la danse, on aime ça, on bouge de droite à gauche, ok, allez, comme ça. Ok, ça c'est en rythme, là on sent que ça a été bossé les filles. On bouge ensemble, bravo, c'est très bien. Ok, c'est bon, j'avais mon chouchou, magnifique danse.
Welcome to the Champ de Mars Arena in Paris. It's a beautiful purpose-built arena for the Olympics and the Paralympics. Paris 2024. It runs all the way up to the foot of the Eiffel Tower. What better place to play some wheelchair rugby? Japan versus Germany. Germany, the outsiders of the 8 teams here. They're the ones who crept through qualification. They got the 3rd and final ticket at the Paralympic qualification tournament in Wellington in March this year. As we say hello to Pierre-Alexandre Brière and Joseph Bongiovanni, who are our 2 North American referees. Speaking of Canada and the United States, which is where the referees are from, they played earlier in the day in this group with USA coming out on top by 3 points. Japan, one of the red-hot favourites for this tournament. We're looking at Shimakawa Shinichi there on one of the banners. Plenty of Japanese fans in the crowd. And out come the players for Japan. Ike Yukinobu, their captain, is the one who was leading them out. A 3-pointer. He was the MVP at the Canada Cup a few months ago, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Asagawa Yuki, low pointer with the dyed blonde hair. He'll be easy to recognize. Haga Masayuki, a mid-pointer. Talking about high pointers, mid-pointers and low pointers, you'll see on the back of people's chairs that you have various numbers. You'll see it there on the back of the chair. The numbers go up from 0.5 to 3.5. You can see 3.0, 1.0 there on the chair, and then 3.0 on the back of Ike, the captain's chair. You're allowed 8 points on court at any one time. And there's the highest pointer that they've got, Hashimoto Katsuya, 3.5 pointer. So if he's playing, you're only allowed another 4.5 points out there. Now the exception to that, if you look at number 3, Kurahashi Gae. She is a female player, and if you have a female player out on court, you're allowed an extra 0.5 points. Kishi Kotaro is their coach, and he was part of their bronze medal winning team in Rio 8 years ago, and the team that won gold at the World Championships in Sydney in Homebush in 2018. Out come the Germans, and they have 2 female players. One of them is Britta Kripke, 47 years old, still going strong, a 1-pointer, and we will see plenty of her. She will be out there for a heck of a lot of the tournament. Michael Volter is back in there. He had a little time out of the team, but they've brought him back in. Many Germans in the crowds come across the border here to Paris. Depending on where you are in Germany, it's a direct train to the Gare de l'Est. Masha Morsel is the other female player. She's just 21 years old, made her debut at the European Championships in 2022. She's a 2.5 pointer. So 2 female players for Germany. So if both Masha Morsel and Britta Kripke are out there at any one time, they can play up to 9 points. You can see all the classifications there, from 3.5, Marco Herbst, the captain, to 0.5. Christoph Werner, he's been their coach for a while. He's also a former player, part of the German Paralympic team that was played in 2008, the last time Germany made it to the Paralympics.
Stand for the national anthem of Japan.
Maintenant, si vous pouvez, merci de rester debout pour l'hymne national de l'Allemagne.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of Germany.
Warm receptions for the anthems. The final two teams to open their campaigns here, as the two coaches exchange gifts. That's lovely to see. A lot of consistency in the squads. The Germany squad, it's 11 out of the 12. Well, it's all 11 who played at the World Championships in Denmark just under 2 years ago. Japan, here's the starting lineup. 2 3-pointers, Ikizaki and Ike, and then Kusaba and Ogawa, the 2 1-pointers. So they're equivalent of high-low. They do have a 3.5-pointer, but they like playing 3-pointers, like the French, and that's the way they do high-low. Germany has to be a more balanced lineup. Marco Herbst, the captain, 3.5. Josko Wilke, the youngster, incredible speed for a 2-pointer. Britta Kripke is out there as well, and Stefan Wecke. So 3-5, 2-2 and 1 for Germany. You're adding all that up, that makes 8.5, but that's because Britta Kripke is out there. There she is. And she enables them to have 8.5 points out there. A lot of dyed blonde hair in the team for Japan. Daisuke Ikizaki. So you have Ikizaki Daisuke, the number 7. Hasegawa Yuki, number 2, both with the shocking blonde hair. Norimatsu Seiya, if we see him, shaven head. Getting ready for the tip-off. And the tip, well, possession goes the way of Germany. The tip was, strictly speaking, won by Germany. So Japan will have the next contested possession. Wecke goes around the outside. Überzahl is being shouted out by Coach Werner, saying you've got superiority in numbers. Popped over the top, and the first try of the match goes to the youngster. Josko Wilke, 23 years old, plays for the Agivia Sharks. Teammate of Marco Herbst, the number 1. There we go. That blonde hair that is so easy to follow, Ikizaki. You've got Ikizaki and Yukinobu Ike, so the 2 Ikes out there. Ikizaki and Yukinobu, 2 3-pointers. So a couple of loose possessions for Germany. That one's going to class as a turnover, and it's Ogawa putting the ball back in. Ogawa was voted best in class, the best 1-pointer at the Canada Cup. Now the Canada Cup's held every year in Canada, obviously, in Richmond, BC, British Columbia. And the top 6 teams in the world played there between the 6th and the 9th of June this year. Japan won, everybody plays everybody else. It's a round-robin tournament. Japan beat everybody and then beat Australia in the final. So that makes them the team to watch at this Paralympic tournament a couple of months later on. Ogawa was best in class, as was Ikizaki, best 3-pointer. And Ike Yukinobu, the captain, he was the MVP of the tournament. There's a combo we're going to see a fair bit for Germany. The Agivia Sharks combo, Josko Wilke, the 2-pointer, popping it over the top to his captain, Marco Herbst, 35-year-old. Everything's going to run through Herbst, their number one. Wilke is he's one of the best two-pointers in the world. And we've been talking about classifications. Classifications are ongoing. They can change mid-tournament, as has been the case it happens in virtually every tournament. You can be classified up or down. Speaking of up or down, Wilke is down, and as soon as Wecker, if Wecker were going straight, we'll see the hit here, and it's a legitimate hit on the front. And play was allowed to continue because Germany maintained possession. So it was a German player who was down. Germany maintained possession, and providing that the player in possession is making a direct line to the try line, then play is allowed to continue. As soon as the player deviates at all, then play is stopped, and the player who is down is brought back up to the upright position. Wecker with the inbound. Auf geht's Deutschland is the cry. Let's go Germany from the Germans in the crowd. Ogawa with the inbound to Ikizaki. Oh, almost a steal there, and it's classed as a reaching foul by Wilke, who can't believe it. So he's off to the bin. Shake of the head from him. So does he touch? He reckons he got the ball. You could see him shouting, "Yeah!" He thought he'd got the ball, but all he gets is a minute in the bin, or alternatively until Japan score, and that's more likely to be the sooner of the two, as it's tossed around between Yukinobu and Ikizaki. Out comes Wilke. Tattooed arms of Kripke with the inbound. Wecker makes good progress, manages to outpace Ogawa. And Germany keeping pace at the moment. Great swarming defense there from Wilke and Wecker. That's fired forward, and Kusaba gets on the end of it. Consistency of the squads that I was talking about. Kusaba is the only new addition to the Japan squad compared with the World Championship held almost 2 years ago in Denmark. World Championship where Japan lost in the semi-finals to the USA but defeated Denmark in the third place match. Trying to say that Wecker was banged into the post there, into the cone. I think he'd got the two front casters over the line before he touched the cone. That, at the very least, is what the referee reckoned. Japan setting up in the key. Not all four of them in the key, because you can only have 3 in the key at any one time. Germany trying to barge their way through, and we have what looks like a turnover. Wilke needs a new wheel in any case. But it looks like the inbound's going to be in favour of Japan. No. Inbound in favour of Germany, and it's Veke who's going to take it, and it was Ike who's gone to the bin. So he's on the sidelines as Wilke scores. So Ike was presumably knocked over the line, knocked out of play. Be that as it may, he's out of the bin now. He's got 10 seconds in which to inbound, but obviously with the trunk capacity and arm strength that he's got, that's no problem for him. Oh, well, that was risky stuff, but obviously with the two Ike combo, Ikezaki Daisuke and Yukinobu Ike, they know one another brilliantly, and a bounce pass between the two of them. Not quite as perilous as it may have looked. Good passing there from Kripke onto Herbst. Herbst weaving in and out. That is waved off. I do believe the problem there was that Wilke went over the line. Josko Wilke found himself going out of bounds. And we've had, well, somebody needs to come and inbound as we take a look at one of the captain's tries. So inbound for Germany. Well, that was dicey stuff from Herbst, and it ends up being almost a bounce pass for him. And it's a penalty try. Hasegawa, who's come on for Japan, was the one who ended up going over the line. They've made a few changes, Japan. Hasegawa's come on, and as you can see, Hashimoto, the 3.5-pointer who just scored that try, he'll show you a clean pair of wheels. He will, the youngster, made his debut in 2019 as a 17-year-old. He's 22 now. So things starting to get a little bit unraveled for Germany here. Veke punts that one forward. Herbst can't quite get to it. Turns around and says, that's where you should have put it. Not right in front of me with no backspin. And then Daisuke flies through there. Flowing blonde mane. Two blonde number 7s. Kripke with 10 seconds to inbound. The shot clock doesn't start until it's touched after the inbound by a chair or a player. Wilke needs to get rid of the ball there. And that's going to be lost again. Veke loses it. This time it's Hasegawa who picks it up. And Japan beginning to impose themselves on this match. Bit of a loose pass. Wasn't ever really in Veke's possession there. So coach's timeout called by Christoph Werner. No doubt just to try to calm things down for Germany. It's tough for them. They are likely going to ride that top 4 that they've got at the Paralympic qualifying tournament in Wellington, or near to Wellington in New Zealand, held in March, where there were the final 3 places for this tournament up for grabs. Germany managed to win the 3rd place playoff, defeating Brazil and qualifying, but they rode their top 4, Herbst, Wilke, Veke and Kripke, all the way through, almost to the point of exhaustion. Very few substitutions for them. Japan, though, embarrassment of riches for them. Also in terms of qualifying, they won the Oceania qualifying tournament, defeating Australia in the final. So they were the only Oceania team to get through directly. Australia and New Zealand then went to the Paralympic qualifying tournament. The last chance saloon, where Australia got through along with Canada and Germany, and New Zealand didn't. Herbst with 10 seconds to go. And it looks as if Hasegawa has gone over the line, so not a penalty try because Germany were by no means certain of scoring. Instead, Hasegawa goes to the bin. So it's 4 on 3. 8.5 on 7.5. Germany gets the try and Hasegawa comes out. Ikizaki with another try. Getting towards the final 2 minutes, the Japan bench are already brandishing timestamps, or they were earlier. What they're also doing is calling some players into the substitutes box. You can see them lining up there, 4 of them ready to come in. So we're going to have a complete change of lineup for Japan if and when there is a dead ball. Nice handoff from Wecker to Wilke. Germany keeping them honest, keeping within 2 points. Ikizaki again showing a clean pair of wheels. The crowd gasps at the big hit by Wecker on Ikizaki. Daisuke pops that one over the top though. 94 seconds to go. Kripke going this way and that for the inbound. No easy inbounds for her. And I do believe a timeout has been taken because she wasn't going to manage the inbound within the 10 seconds allotted. Time doesn't tick down on the scoreboard, but you do only have 10 seconds to inbound. As we have a look at that big hit by Wecker on Ikizaki. Now the advantage for Japan with the timeout being taken, not only have Germany used the second floor timeout, but it also means that they can bring on 4 new players. And that's exactly what they've done. And it includes Kurahashi Kae, their only female player, so they can play 8.5 out there if they so desire. And that's exactly what they're doing. They have 3, 3, 2 and 0.5. Ike, Nakamachi, Shinakawa and Kurahashi are the ones out there at the moment. And there is one of those, Nakamachi, number 14. And how about that? The Germany bench on their feet. Those who are capable, because that is a turnover. So how about that for Germany? Popped out over the top and then stolen by a combination of Herbst and Wilke. Can they steal another one? Oh, the casters there almost went over the line. Shinichi Shimakawa almost pushed over the line there. And we're having turnover after turnover for Germany here. And all of a sudden they've got things level. Things really turning around here. Japan putting almost the second string on, and well, they've been taught a lesson by Germany. They're going to try to take their time in scoring this last one, because obviously you want the last possession of the quarter, and they will get the first possession of the next quarter. But Germany have turned things around, and another timeout taken. Look how much Germany are reveling in that. They've got 2 turnovers in a row. They forced Japan to take a timeout. Ikizaki is going to come back on to try to shore things up. Off goes Shimakawa. And Japan's second string not looking as good as the first. 23 seconds to go. They have the inbound. They're obviously going to try to score as late as possible. Defense, defense, shout the Germany bench and the Germans in the crowd. Ikazaki pops it over. And the try is scored by Ike. So can Germany get a late try? The inbound, the clock starts now. 5 seconds to go. The problem is you don't want to give the ball away either. Can Japan score a quick one? No, it's tossed up, but Japan get out of jail and they lead at the end of the first quarter, 13-12. Japan leading 13-12. You'd say Germany the happier of the two teams, happier of the two benches. Japan 2 points clear and in possession. Germany forced into a timeout which enabled Japan to bring on some of their bench players, and then all of a sudden turnovers. So committed a turnover. Germany got a couple of steals, as we saw from the statistics there. Germany really turned it around, leveled things. Japan, though, doing the little things right at the very end. They got the last possession of the quarter, and they'll get the first possession of the next one. As we look at the highlights from the first quarter. Germany was who got the first try. Japan started running away with things from that point onwards. Combination of Wilke and Herbst for Germany is the one they're going to rely on throughout this tournament. Ikazaki, the standout player for Japan in the first quarter. Then it all got a little bit loose in the last minute or so. And Christoph Werner is going to be pretty pleased with that. Maréchal Joffre, look at that wonderful statue. It's a statue that is out not far away from the Eiffel Tower, that's out in a park here in France. He's a field marshal from the First World War, and this venue has been built around that statue, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's breathtaking to be in a venue that has been built around a statue that Parisians walk past every day in their daily lives. Japanese fans here, German ones as well. Getting ready for the second half, and it looks like Japan making or sticking with their bench players. They're going 3-5-3-1-5.5, which adds up to 8.5, but Kurahashi is out there, the female player, so they are allowed 8.5 out there. Germany going back to the well, they've got 8.5 out there as well. They're going 3-5-2-2-1. It's the lineup they started with, and it's the lineup they're going to play throughout this tournament. You'd have thought Herbst, Wilke, Wecker and Kripke. Japan with the last point of the first quarter, the first point of the second, and the first turnover of the second quarter. Turnover there, Ike getting the inbound, stealing it from Kripke. And that's exactly what they would have wanted. It's harem-scarum stuff, a big hit there on Wilke, but he manages to keep his wheels, and it's another turnover. How about that from Ike? Fires that one forward, and Hashimoto, 3.5 pointer, He's always going to have the wheels to latch onto a pass like that. Stolen there beautifully by Ike. Ike, the Japanese captain, 44 years old, been playing for 10 years now. Plays for the Freedom Club in Kochi. Vilke can't get past Hashimoto. Kripke trying to set blocks. Herbst is going to try to barge his way through, but won't. Big hit from the big tall player. That is wiped off. 4 in the key, I do believe. No, sorry, 10 seconds in the key. So one of the German attackers was in the key for 10 seconds, and you're not allowed to be stuck in there. It's like basketball in the paint when you're attacking. So that's a turnover again, another turnover. Everything going Japan's way in this second quarter. 13-12 to begin it, and within a minute and a half, it's 17-12. 4 unanswered points for Japan. Hashimoto, since he's come on, 6 tries. Only joined the action towards the end of the first quarter, and he's been the one scoring all the tries. Kripke, is she going to be able to get over the line? The answer's no. She's had a pocket picked as well. Ike getting all the turnovers. Such a big, tall player, sits so tall in his chair, and he's motoring forward, but Hashimoto doesn't need him. A real wake-up call for Japan, committing 2 turnovers or having a turnover and then a steal against them at the end of the first quarter when these bench players came on. So the bench players given a second chance by the coach, Kotaro Kishi, showing faith in them, and they're repaying that faith. Germany finally get a point in this second quarter. Been tough pickings for them. So we are finally seeing some substitutions for Germany. Off goes Veke, off goes Kripke. And into the action we have Florian Bongards and Moritz Brückner. So Germany needing to do something, finding themselves 5 and now 6 points adrift. Two players who aren't going to come off, you'd have thought, are Vilke on the ball and Herbst, who comes out to help him. Nicely fired out there to Brückner. Brückner spinning this way and that, 1.5 pointer, so he's not going to have the push to get through. Over the top, and that was corralled beautifully by Herbst just before he went over the line. You have to be in possession of the ball and then have your casters go over the line. And we'll see that perfectly there. Turnover for Germany, and it's the youngster Hashimoto who commits it. Herbst now taking control of the ball. If it's in his lap, then it should be reasonably safe. And over he goes. Germany trying to turn things around here. Scoring points in bursts. Ball fired forward to Hashimoto. Drops the shoulder, gets inside Vilke. Germans in the crowd supporting them fiercely. They had support all the way down in Wellington, very southern tip of North Island of New Zealand, for the Paralympic qualifying tournament. Another turnover though for Japan, and another try for Hashimoto. Japanese fans' turn to have to travel this time. Last Paralympics were on home soil for them, and they came up a little bit short there, I think, as far as they would be concerned. Japan have been underachievers, you would say, on the world stage thus far, getting bronze in Rio and Tokyo. They are very much the favourites here, and they're living up to their favourites billing at the moment. Norimatsu with the inbound, the unmistakable bald head of Norimatsu. Hashimoto needs to get the ball over the halfway line within the allotted 12 seconds, does so to the tall figure of Ike. Having a player that's that tall, sits so tall in the chair, real trunk strength and wingspan. You see it with Stu Robinson for Team GB, sits up very tall in his chair, even though he's not the tallest of players. Chris Bond for Australia, and then not here, but perhaps the best example of it is Hayden Barton-Coots for New Zealand. Sits so tall in the chair and keep the ball out of danger. Timeout called. Germany looking unlikely to get the ball over the line within the 12 seconds. You can see the shot clock there stopped at 30, so they've only got 2 seconds to get over the halfway line. Germany already used 3 of their floor timeouts. They have 4 of them, and they've already used 3. Ike spinning this way and that. So that timeout enables a few changes to be made for Japan, and well, pick your poison really. Off goes Hashimoto, and back on comes Daisuke Ikizaki. And there he is, Ikizaki. Back into the thick of things already. Had to make sure he didn't go over the halfway line because he'd already crossed it, so didn't want to do the over and back. And they got the 2 blonde players back on. Hasegawa Yuki has come back on, the 0.5 pointer. That was a tough one there for Florian Bongard to try to reel in, so it's another turnover. Beautiful pass there into the lap of Norimatsu, landed in his lap. Norimatsu, 34 years old, won the World Championship with the team in 2018. He's part of the Tokyo bronze winning teams, the Tokyo and Rio bronze winning teams. And he plays his club rugby for the Fukuoka Dandelions. What a great name for a team that is. Other teams are the Saitama Blitz, the Okinawa Hurricanes, but the Fukuoka Dandelions, can't argue with that. Japan have run the lead out to 7 points. So Germany heading to their bench again. Jens Sauerbier has come on, 2-pointer. Britta Kripke back on. Herbst and Wilke, they're going to be there throughout, you would have thought. Is this going to be a turnover? Well, it's a loss of possession, but it's going to be regained for them. The ball came loose, but was pushed out by a German player. So Japan it is with the inbound. Ikizaki goes through again, and the lead is up to 8, to the delight of the Japanese fans in the crowd. Ikazaki not letting Zawabir go anywhere at all. And he ends up taking the ball out of play, so that's another turnover. So it's going to be a corner inbound. So it's ready to be taken by Norimatsu, the Fukuoka Dandelion. Ikazaki, what a great player he is. Best in class at the Canada Cup a couple of months ago. Wilke to Herbst. Herbst needs to find Zawabir. Zawabir now doing the blocking, as is Kripke. Wilke's come up there as well. Everyone's swarming around, in and around the paint. Still a good 20 seconds to go, so no panic for the Germans. But Japan very well set up in front of the key. Zawabir's in there, and in the end, Herbst gets through. Norimatsu, the inbound to Ike, who can just stand up tall, and we do have a turnover. So Germany have been able to force turnovers. I think Japan won't be too disappointed with that. As Herbst works his way over. Japan playing some very flowing rugby, though. Experimental stuff for them. Giving their bench lots of time. Ike needs to get it over the halfway line. Does so. And needs to make sure he stays in that half. Does so. And needs to score. Does so. Herbst with work to do to get it over the halfway line in time. Does that work? And that was well hooked in there by Zawabir. And a nice bounce pass from him as well. Herbst calling the shots. You can probably hear him shouting the odds to his teammates. Now that is wiped off. 10 seconds in the key, I think. Britta Kripke was stuck in there for 10 seconds. So that's happened a couple of times to Germany. And it's great defense from Japan. It's not just Germany making mistakes, far from it. It's Japan cleverly boxing a low pointer like Britta Kripke, who can't fight her way out, can't muscle her way out of the key. She gets stuck in there for 10 seconds. And if Germany can't score within those 10 seconds, then it's a turnover. And that's exactly what we saw. A huge pass forward by Herbst, but that goes loose as well. It's Hail Mary stuff. We're down into the last 1.5 seconds of this first half. Japan able to make some substitutions. They're going to have a set play here. They would love to score. They are 9 points clear, but this is training ground stuff. It's what you work on in the gym. The clock starts now, and it's perfectly... No, wiped off, says the referee. They didn't cross the line quite in time. A real shame there. Over the top, and then you can see, couldn't quite get over the line there. Masayuki. So it's wiped off, but they're not going to be too disappointed about that. Japan lead at the halftime break, 28-19. Well, it's been all Japan in the first half, and a lot of it was down to that man there, Ikizaki Daisuke. So the Germans looking a little forlorn in the crowd. Highlights of the second quarter. And it was the youngster Hashimoto, made his debut as a 17-year-old, 22 now, and what a great player he is, and embarrassment of riches. They like to run the 3-3-1-1 lineup, Japan, with the likes of Ikizaki, Yukinobu, Shimakawa, the three-pointers, but they can also bring on the 3.5-pointer, that youngster there. And what a display from him it was, particularly in the second quarter. Didn't have it all their own way. Germany did force a couple of turnovers. But the highlight reel stuff was coming from Hashimoto. You can see 8 steals from Japan. Germany committed 6 turnovers. So when you put those together, that gives you the deficit. So in the big break, the 10-minute break at halftime, Japan lead it 28-19.
va continuer les bonnes traditions. On passe un karaoké pour les supporters français qui sont encore là. Ça va être à vous de pousser la voix. Un groupe de classiques français, ça donne ça. Je veux vous entendre la relation par ça, on chante. Ok, c'est pas mal du tout ça. Je laisse faire parce que si c'est moi, ça va faire un cartage. Attention, gardez-moi un peu sous le pied. Allez, la relâche en force. C'est pas mal, on commence à être synchro.
The half-time break is almost over, and the half-time break here at the Champ de Mars Arena means that the fans get to sing along a bit of French karaoke. Quite often it's Je ne regrette rien by Edith Piaf. That one was actually a Swiss song, but in French. Voyage, Voyage by Désirless. But I'm sure you knew that already. What you also know is that Japan are in the box seat, leading 28-19 over Germany. Germany with a possession arrow, so they get the first possession of this quarter, and then the arrow immediately goes the way of Japan, as you can see. Jens Sauerbier is the one on the ball, and he's got Marco Herbst now on the ball. Josko Wilke and Britta Kripke out there with him. And Herbst it is who goes over to reduce the deficit to 8. So that's Germany going 3-5-2-2-1, and they can have 8.5 out there because They have a female player. That is an incredible pass, and a timeout called with a quarter of a second to spare there by Shimakawa. So it was a very, very ambitious pass forward. Look at that one, absolutely propelled forward by Ike. No backspin on it whatsoever, and the immediate timeout before Shimakawa went out of play. So they've used the timeout, and why not? That's what they're there for. So we have Norimatsu, Ike, Shimakawa and Hasegawa out there for Japan. And the high pointers combining nicely. So they're going 3, 3, 1.5, 0.5. That's their 8. That's the advantage of having 3-pointers as opposed to 3.5 pointers. It's not the traditional high-low where you've got 3-5, 3-5, 0.5, 0.5. You can have another player in there, the 1.5 pointer that they've got. So you've got someone like Norimatsu with trunk function and the ability to throw out a pass. Back upright is Shimakawa. Play was allowed to continue, but it ended up resulting... Well, play was allowed to continue because Germany were heading towards the try line, and then as soon as they deviated from the try line, then play stopped and the opponents allowed to be brought back up. Into the bin goes Shimakawa, presumably for leaving the court. So Germany going to take their time. All 4 of them are up front. Is one of them going to try to spring a trap now and make sure that Shimakawa can't get out of the box once they score? That's what you can see going on here. Zawabia is getting in the way. So Shimakawa can't get out unless he says, please sir, let me take the inbound, and that's exactly what he's done. And the reason why teams will do that is to make a high pointer inbound, because it means you're taking 3 or 3.5 points off the court in order to inbound. But then they just go and do that on you and spring the trap, or they do when they are arguably the best team in the world. Herb needs to be careful that he's not pushed back over the halfway line. So Wilke in the background there, and then hits from behind. I'd say it was accidental. There's definitely no malice in there, so there's no spinning foul called. Spinning foul is so called when you hit somebody behind the axle. It's illegal, and it's called a spinning foul because it tends to make your opponent spin. And if you're really naughty and do it deliberately, then that's a flagrant foul, which is either an immediate try plus you spend another 2 tries in the bin, or if it's not an immediate try, then you can spend 3 tries in the bin. No harm, no foul on this occasion here. So in terms of the world rankings, Japan are 3rd. But I think that plenty of other teams would say that that's not quite an obvious reflection. Australia 1st in the world. USA 2nd, Japan, Great Britain, Canada, France, Denmark 7th, and Germany 9th, actually, behind New Zealand, who didn't qualify here. Colombia, Brazil, Switzerland rounding out the top 12. And they are the main nations who play. Japan down to just the one floor timeout left. Germany only 7 adrift, so forcing Japan to take timeouts, which they see as minor victories. Close up there, you can see a lot of the strapping that the players have. They quite often have, so you can see them all with sleeves on their arms there, like Ikizaki, same for Marco Wilke, and a lot of support on the arms. Tape as well. All players wear gloves. There's probably 1 or 2 players in the world who don't wear gloves. John Orozco of Colombia being one of them. How he manages that, I don't know. Quick work there by the Germany mechanic, and back she sprints. Germany setting up with a key defense. Try scored. I think it would have been 4 in the key anyway, but try scored. Kotaro Kishi, the 52-year-old Japan coach, will be reasonably pleased with what he's been seeing so far. Germany passing the ball around, and that was some impressive stuff there, but it's wiped off. Wilke, I think, had his casters over the line before he caught the ball. Some great passing, but there... No, he was spun around, so it was the equivalent. He had 1 wheel over the line, so it went over the line and then back, because he was spun around, before he could get 2 wheels over the line. Loss of possession there, though, so 1 turnover leads to another. Timeout was called, but nobody was actually in possession. I think one of the Japanese players called for a timeout, but you can't do that when you're not in possession of the ball, when one of you or one of your teammates isn't in possession of the ball. Players can call a timeout if one of their teammates is in possession. Herbst trying to work his way round, and then I think just got over the line there, reversed over the line. Now that is a 3.5-pointer, showing just how much speed they've got. And showing their coach just how much speed they've got. Hashimoto going coast to coast. Wilke making sure he stayed inside the bounds of the court there. Inbound from Ogawa, and it's picked off. Not often that Ogawa, usually best in class in his category, gets picked off there. Because it's not always the inbounder's fault. If they haven't got options to inbound to, then you can't blame them, particularly when they're a low pointer. Ikazaki dropping the shoulder this way and that. normal service being resumed to a certain extent. Japan currently going 3-5-3, 1, 0.5. Well, that was fired forward there by Herbst, who says calm things down. Germany have got it back to within 6. 6 is what teams usually see as the absolute limit of where you can come back from. So Hashimoto promptly says, well, let's make it 7. Kripke with the inbound to Wilke. Wilke to Sauerbier. Sauerbier to Herbst. Some great defense there. Difficult for Wilke to get through, but he does in the end. Fires his way past Ogawa. Ogawa with the inbound to Ikizaki, and there was a reaching foul on him. And it's Sauerbier who is being sent to the bench. A wry smile there. He was saying, well, I got my hand on the ball, but I think he got his hand on a bit of torso as well. It's always a gamble when you reach in. That's why it's called a reaching foul. You're reaching in to try to get the ball loose from your opponent's grip or lap. And obviously opponents, what they can do is offer you an arm, try to draw the foul from you. So the gap is back to 7. Kripke looking for the inbound. You can see the referee counting down and pushed out of play. Timeout called by Wilke. Kripke only had 10 seconds during which to inbound, and the only option she got was Wilke, who presumably said timeout before he showed the symbol, because he was over the line by the time he made the universal T symbol. Either way, the referee was happy with it, and that's all that counts. And that's the final floor timeout for Germany. Japan still have one left. First bit of game time for Kusaba for Japan. They're number 11. Kusaba Ryuji, a one-pointer, 23 years old. He's out there with Ikizaki, Ike and Ogawa. So 3-3-1-1. That's the kind of lineup that Japan really likes to run. So even your low pointers, a couple of one-pointers. That was a great pass out there by Marco Herbst. You can see the wheelchair basketballer in him. Wilke down once again. It was Wilke with the great pass on, actually. It was the original pass from Herbst, and then Wilke popping that one over the top. Germany unbowed. 6 points behind and no timeouts left, other than one coach's timeout for Christoph Werner. But look at this. Picking up the ball, forcing a turnover, not for the first time in this match, not for the first time in this quarter. The deficit's down to 5. So Ike losing possession. Ikizaki saying, I'm going to turn things around here, I'm going to carry you on my shoulders a little bit here. Doing yeoman's work up front as well, giving Kripke no one to inbound to. Once again, she has to give it to Wilke in the corner, who gets it free to Sauerbier. Sauerbier needs to get over the halfway line, or the ball over the halfway line. That was always going to be a 50-50 call. They managed to do it. Sauerbier coming up there and pushing Wilke forward to make sure that he isn't pushed back over the halfway line for what would have been an over and back. That would have been a turnover. So you're seeing a lot of the finer points of the game in this point, and a lot of great blocking by Kripke. And a great try. Germany keeping it within 5 points. Ten seconds with which to inbound. It's so easy to inbound when you've got Ike there. And so easy to score when you can fire it over to Ikezaki. Kripke with the task of inbounding again. Wilke usually the outlet for her. He's the outlet because Herbst is always boxed in. Taps that one forward. Sauerbier is going to pick it up. So that was great hands by Herbst. Herbst finding it very difficult to get space. He's got Ike, and it tends to be Kusaba for company. They're trying to box him in all the time, which is why when Kripke's trying to inbound, there's no one for her to give it to other than Wilke. Herbst, the real danger man for Germany, 18 of their 32 tries. That's why, as you can see there, Kusaba is paying him some very close attention. Occasionally the wheel will stick on the axle when they're trying to remove it. Give it a good shove and usually it comes off. They've got a minute to do the change. It's a minute and usually a little bit of leeway, and they rarely take any more than 10 or 15 seconds. This one taking a little bit longer. Ref's usually happy to give it a little bit of leeway. The inbound to the Statue of Liberty that is Ike. And then the sprinter that is Ikezaki. Back to Ike. Great example of virtual pick and roll you can do when you have such good high pointers. The count is on again for Kripke. And the ball is lost but picked up. Herbst having to come back to try to get it. Kripke calling timeout, and no timeouts left. Referee Bon Jovi saying no timeouts left, and that is a turnover. Kripke losing count of what was left. So Japan with all the time in the world to set up. 30 seconds left in this third quarter. They're going to run the time down and try to score with a quarter of a second to go. Good for them to run set plays. They're 6 points clear. And this is the kind of thing you work on in training. Germany working on their key defense. Popped over the top. You take the time. Ike to Ikezaki. You can hear the countdown going down in Japanese. Timeout called. Half a second remaining. Thinking, why take a timeout? Well, again, you're running a set play. You can make substitutions, so set players can come on for the set play. In this case, it's Haga and Kurosai. And of course, time doesn't start until the ball is touched after the inbound. It's actually Nakamashi that's come on, and he's going to take the inbound. And so can they catch and score? And the answer is no. So Good defense from Germany. They limit the damage, but it's Japan who lead 38-32 at the final break.
The end of the third period, 8 minutes remaining in the game. Germany reducing the arrears from 9 behind at the start of that quarter to 6 behind.
Japan 6 points clear. They haven't been playing faultless rugby by any stretch of the imagination. Committed quite a few turnovers, but a lot of that is down to, well, there's the turnovers. They've committed to 2 turnovers. Germany have made 6 steals. But if you look, 2 turnovers committed by Japan and 8 steals made. That's them plus 6. Germany, 8 turnovers committed, 6 steals made. That's -2. And that's pretty much the difference. That's why Japan have a 6-point lead at this stage of the game, with just 8 minutes to go. Both coaches will be reasonably happy as we look at highlights from the third quarter. Japan able to run through their bench. Virtually everybody has been used in their lineup. Only really the likes of Masayuki and Kae, who have seen very little time. I don't think Wakayama, the one-pointer, has been on at all. Other than that, everyone getting plenty of game time. Hashimoto looking to stake a claim. As we've said, this coach here, Kotaro Kishi, likes to have the 3-3-1-1 lineup. But when you've got a 3.5-pointer, then that opens up other possibilities, and Hashimoto getting a fair bit of game time. Germany not going too deep on the bench. Germany, who qualified by finishing 3rd in the Paralympic qualification tournament, where spots 6, 7 and 8 were up for grabs. The other qualifications are done on a continental basis. So Europe had 2, plus France, who were the hosts. So that meant that France, who won the Euro, Britain, who finished 2nd, and Denmark 3rd in the Euro 2023, they all qualified directly. USA won the Paralympic Games. They were the US representative. Japan won the Oceania qualifying. And there were 3 then left from all of the various confederations to try to battle it out. And that was down in Wellington a few months ago. And that was where Germany, Australia and Canada made it through to make up the 8 that we've got here at Paris 2024, the Paralympic Games. Into the final quarter, Japan with a 7-point lead now. They had the possession arrow, so they started off with possession at the start of this 4th and final quarter. Germany getting the deficit back to 6. So Japan with Hashimoto, 3.5er. Kurosai, 0.5, and female. So Ike and Norimatsu are the others out there, meaning they can go 3.5, 3.15.5. Germany with perhaps their favoured lineup, 3.5-2-2-1. Zauerbier in there instead of Wecker, who started. Christoph Werner, the coach we're seeing there, the former player. Played in 2004 and 2008, which is the last 2 times that Germany made it to the Paralympics. So great to see them here again. A reminder that Japan got bronze at the last 2 Paralympics. That's the best they've ever done. And you really would expect them to outdo that this time around. But the likes of reigning champions Great Britain, host nation France, Australia, USA, Canada will all have something to say about that. Punted forward by Zauerbier. Close to the line, and yes, Herbst knocked over the line. Say that the line is acting as a fifth defender every time you're defending, so trying to push your opponents towards that line. That's exactly what Japan have just done. Germany setting up on key defense. Japan looking to push their way through, and it's Hashimoto around the outside. Kripke once again with the unenviable task of inbounding. Finds Zauerbier. Zauerbier loses it. Kripke. And the referee says that that ball went over the line. Kripke couldn't quite keep it in, so it's a corner inbound for Japan. Norimatsu's going to take it. And 22-21, the huge, tall figure of Ike. So tall in his chair. Norimatsu so quick. And coach Kotaro so happy, even though he's playing his cards very close to his chest. Kripke must feel she's having to inbound every 5 seconds at the moment. It's inexorable, the pressure that Japan are putting Germany under. Zauerbier picks it up. He's got to get the ball over the halfway line. Again, inexorable pressure from Japan. Gets the ball over the halfway line. Wilke. He's got Norimatsu for company. Zauerbier. And I do believe it was Norimatsu whose casters went over the line, so it's a penalty try. Great passing from Ike. And lovely backspin on the pass from Hashimoto. Former player is Coach Kotaro. Got those bronze medals in Rio. And a steal, a direct steal by Ike. Took it out of the palm of Marco Herbst, the captain. So one captain stealing from the other. And there's another turnover there. Zauerbier not managing to hold on to the ball. Wilke not giving up. The gap is extended to 9. It's as much as it's been. A coach's timeout call by Christoph Werner. It's gone from 6 points to 9 points. Werner wants to make sure that things don't get too loose. And you've got a timeout, so you might as well use it. You can't take it with you. You can't keep them in your pocket until the semi-finals or the final. Many a team has wanted to do that over the years. Also means you can make some substitutions. So once again, we're seeing Germany do that. Florian Bongard, number 21, is back out. And then we also have number 10, Michael Volter, is back there. Volter, who wasn't down in Wellington for the qualifying tournament, but he's back here. Man from Frankfurt. 3 is his classification. So Marco Herbst has gone off. Stefan Wecker back on. And there is Volter. Germany going 3-2-2-1. Japan still with their 3-3-1-1 formation. I say still with it, so Hashimoto has gone off, and we've got the 3-3-1-1 and perhaps the original formation that you would expect for Japan. Shimakawa and Ikizaki being the 2 3s, and the 2 1s, Wakayama and Ogawa. Another turnover. Ikazaki flashing that blonde mop of his this way and that. And then calling the shots. All of a sudden, it's a 12-point gap. It was 6 points, and Japan have doubled their advantage. That's the kind of team that they are. Bongard is now the one who has to do the inbounding. Bongard a one-pointer. Good hands by the Germans. Finally get themselves a point after quite a long run, quite a long drought for them. And then, of course, Shimakawa goes right down the other end and gets it back up to a 12-point game once again within a matter of seconds. Tough ask for Veke. They managed to get the ball over the halfway line, which is the first task, within the allotted 12 seconds, and then a bounce pass from Wilke, and Veke's on hand to take it over the line. Good defense from Germany. Ikazaki struggling to get it over the halfway line, but then look at that. They pop the ball out over the top, and Wakayama's just going to fold his hands over the ball in his lap and roll over the line. Calm as you like. Bongard, the count's almost up to 10. Wilke comes back to help him out. It's not a case of not wanting to come back to help him out, Wilke, but he got a lot of company around him. Great blocking, a big hit there from Ikazaki. Volta, he's their high pointer at the moment. Ikazaki, a blonde mane of his, going coast to coast once again. Quick-fire stuff in this fourth quarter. Often the case in the fourth quarter tends to be that teams don't have any of their floor timeouts left, so play flows. Passes get a little bit risky, turnovers happen, and the cream rises to the top, and we've certainly seen that with Japan. Falter sits tall in his chair, gets over the line. Werner still barking out instructions for his team, even though they're 11 adrift. Even if you don't win, then the phrase is win your development. You always want to do as well as possible. And this, of course, is the biggest of stages. It's Paris 2024, it's the Paralympic Games. And you want to give a good account of yourself. Only comes around once every 4 years. We've had a shorter cycle this time around due to COVID and Tokyo 2020 being in 2021, but it's going to be a long time after this before LA comes round. Tapped out of there by Wilke, cleverly done. Veke on, that's some great blocking. Volta coming back and creating a path for Veke. Do we have a reaching foul? No, it was merely Wilke once again. I think he spent more time on the deck. Not Wilke actually, Bongard. Bongard it is on the deck. I'm so used to seeing Wilke down there. Similar short blonde haircuts. Into the last 2 minutes of this match. Japan comfortably in the lead. 53-41 at the moment. win of this caliber will put Japan top of Group A. Great blocking work there by Haga, who has come on, the number 4. He's from Chiba, which is a suburb, a western suburb of Tokyo. Good quick hands, and Folter gets over despite the attentions of Ikizaki. An 11-point deficit. Haga enjoying the fact that he's getting some game time, the 2-pointer. And a turnover. Not immune to turnovers, Japan. They've committed a few. It's at least the 3rd. They'll be wanting to tighten the screws for when they play other teams in this group. USA and Canada, most notably. So it's a 10-point deficit now. Germany would love to get it into single figures, but they've only got a minute in which to do that. And Japan are now looking to make it 11 points, the difference. Haga looking to reverse over the line, and that's exactly what he's going to do. You don't get more points for that. It would be nice to get double points for a reverse try, but it's a try nevertheless. Wilke. No more shot clock, it's merely the game clock. Will Germany try to run the clock down and have at least the pleasure of getting the final score? Looks like what Wilke is trying to do. The stadium announcer gets the fans on their feet. Wilke going this way and that. Bongard looking to make some space for him. Folter looking to pick it up. Japan are going to run away with it. The ball's probably going to go out of play, and the final hooter goes. Japan win their opening match 55-44 over Germany. A comprehensive performance by Japan. Most of their bench used as well, so that will be of absolute delight to their coach, Kotaro Kishi. Everyone getting some game time, everybody out there running some set plays. Weren't faultless by any means, but they won it 55-44 over Germany. Germany always expected to be the outsiders. They got the 8th and final berth to come here, whereas Japan qualified directly ahead of the likes of Australia and New Zealand. So always one of the favourites, particularly after they won the recent Canada Cup. But Germany never say die, and they gave a great account of themselves. French fans enjoying some great rugby. Japan enjoying the fact that their team has just won 55-44. That's one heck of a way to kick off your Paris 2024 campaign. Plenty of fans in the crowd here at the Champ de Mars Arena, celebrating the likes of Ogawa, Wakayama going past, pulling some funny faces to the cameras. Delighted with their first win. As we look at some of the highlights, a lot of the highlights were that youngster there, Hashimoto, 22 years old, 3.5-pointer, incredibly fast player, racking up the tries he was. Germany never backed down. and they can be pretty proud of the way they played today, and their coach certainly will be. Very tough though when you're coming up against the lineup that's got the likes of Ike almost on the bench. That coach arguably has the best job in wheelchair rugby, the sheer strength and depth. You can go for 3-3-1-1 lineups or 3-5.5, balance it all in there. He's got female player in Kurahashi as well, so that helps him out. Quick look at the statistics: 11 steals for Japan, 10 turnovers for Germany. That was really where the match was won and lost, and that's where all the matches are won and lost. And obviously, the main statistic is 55 for Japan, 44 for Germany. Standings, so Japan and USA winning their opening matches. Canada and Germany with it all to do. Canada will really be looking to turn things around after losing to the United States, but they're going to have to do it against Japan.
Success. A huge thank you to all of our volunteers here in and around Stade de France Arena. Wins today for Great Britain, for USA, for France, and for Japan. From 11:30 this morning, Great Britain against USA, Germany against France in the final match. That concludes our session here at Stade de France. Take all your belongings and have a great safe journey back.
Two teams who came into their opening match at the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games from very different standpoints. Germany, who got the final slot here, just crept in the qualifying tournament, whereas Japan won the most recent warm-up tournament. So they were always going to be the favourites.